But what you need to understand that in times like this is when great leaders set their foot on the sands of time. This has been the recurring decimal of this country as far back as one can remember, that there is always a spillover to the next year. You can bring it to a halt. What this means, because the desire really is to reflect the system, and you can only reflect the system if you pump more than enough resources to the economy. So I won't think that you can do this in 3-4 months. You can. They need to put themselves in segments. There will be a team implementing this budget and another team planning 2018 budget. It is not rocket science. It can be done. It's been done in other climes. So my take here is that, and incidentally, the guy at the budget office, this is something, you know, he has done while he was in Lagos. I mean, Ben Akabeze. And I think they should have a team, you raise a team that will be able to work and act in a hurry. You know, they need to hasten up. And by so doing, this system will be reflected. So it is not as though we are asking, or the system is waiting for anybody. Don't forget, you are getting to 2019. That is the election year. And they just have limited time to prove their mettle. If you take a poll of what Nigerians feel about this government, it will be neither here nor there. So this is an opportunity for them to use, I repeat, for the essence of politics is economics, to use economics to drive change and turn around, as it were, the fortunes of government, of this government and this nation at large. This is something that can be done. All they need to do, I am very sure most of the departments and agencies of government have all prepared, waiting for this almighty budget to be signed. So all they just need to do is to fund these projects, fund these plans. The plans are already done. If anybody is beginning now to plan, then it will be a disaster. Most of them have planned, most of them have prepared, or they are saying that the budget has not been signed. Now that the budget is signed, I just think that they just work on the double. Fire our full cylinders and deploy the resources where it becomes necessary. I repeat, just create the teams. One team deploys the budget, as it were, to terms. Another team begins now to prepare for 2018 budget. That's the way it works.
Mr. Odibo, you work in the private sector. You hold training programs for business executives in the banking sector, business advisory, management consultants, and all of that. What have you been hearing in the days, weeks before this budget was signed, and what's the sentiment as far as the private sector is concerned with our budget calendar and what their expectations are moving forward?
No, thank you. What I hear, especially at sea level, you know, where we hold strategy sessions, is that, look, we are geared to move. However, we are quite confused as to where to apply our tools. In other words, most of them are waiting in the wings to understand essentially what will empower. In other words, will government be prepared and ready to walk the talk in the EGRP? And now that this has been done, that's why I'm saying that most of them are prepared. They have done the strategy sessions. They are just waiting, almost like waiting for the bugle. Now that the bugle has been sounded, I believe all hands will be on deck. Now, I also want to appreciate the acting president who has finally brought in the private sector as a strategic team to deliver on the future of our economy and our politics. Because what government really is good at doing is setting the tone and creating the boundaries and setting the regulatory framework. It is the work, it is the capacity, the technical capacities of the private sector. These guys are structured to deliver excellence because the competition is the first nature, and by competition you're able to get the best. So now that they've allowed the private sector to come in and partner with the public sector in order to bring the necessary change that people require, I believe very strongly that people are going to they're going to fire on full cylinder. However, as I said earlier on, the devil is in the detail. The government must set a framework by which, on a strategic, and I mean now on a monthly basis, not quarterly because you don't have the time, evaluate the implementation of this budget to the letter.
The final question for you. The acting president delivered a 37-paragraph statement. That's quite a record at the signing of the budgets. So, and he spoke about the collaborative spirit between the National Assembly, leadership of the National Assembly, and the executive branch in making sure that this budget goes through less bumpy roads as we had 2016. Are you encouraged by what the acting president says in those paragraphs yesterday?
Yes, I'm encouraged. I'm very encouraged that he came out straight to say that it has been due to the collaborative effort of both the legislature and the executive that has brought this document to at this time. By the way, let me add there that this signals clearly that that government is beyond an individual. That the acting president signed this budget. It sends the necessary and required signal, not only at home but abroad, that government is a continuum. And while we pray for the safe return of our president, I believe very strongly there should not be any vacuum. But coming to your question, I believe also strongly that also the devil is in the detail. It is one thing to say in front of camera that there is a collaboration between the executive and the legislature. And yet, day in, day out, we see this lack of cohesion manifesting in the processes that lead to these signings. I believe very strongly that if there is this political will at the executive end or at the C level of both the executive and the legislature, it must begin to peter down that on a regular, and they don't have the time. There's no time for bickering. If this budget is going to be implemented in 6 months, which you all ask, and the 2018 budget will start on 1st of January 2018, then it means that from day one, from today, both the executive and the legislature must unlearn to learn how to work together.
Pascal Odibo, Country Group Director for Jeff and O'Brien. Thank you very much, live from our Abuja studios. We appreciate your insights into this new budget and, of course, the bridge into a new future of a predictable fiscal appropriations in line with the organized private sector. Let's come back to you after the break, everyone. And we take the budget to the stock market.